Conor was landing some good elbows from the bottom as well, and then Dustin landed some great elbows from the top. So I thought it was a 10-9 round regardless. But what did you think John Kavanaugh was going to say? He was getting dominated and crushed. It wasn't the game plan.
This is not what we expected. We were going after something completely different. Of course he's going to say it. That's his guy.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. Here, it's real simple. Interview Mike Brown and see what he says.
Yeah.
Okay. I bet it doesn't match what John Kavanaugh says, and that's okay. John Kavanaugh's guy is Conor, and he's going to stick with his guy, and he's going to say, hey, we were doing exactly what we wanted, and we were getting ready for the second round. Okay, if the leg didn't go, he would have made it to the second round, and we would have seen, more fighting, and something, could have happened that was good for him, could have ended up being bad for him. We're never going to know. It didn't happen, but to sit there and to expect John Kavanaugh to say anything different, that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely insane. There's just no way. I'm like, if you have coaches that start saying stuff like that, odds are that relationship gets burst real quick.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't expect him to say anything else. So I think he just did what a great coach does and just, basically said, hey, you know what? It's kind of what we had thought, it's like, hey, maybe in the first round, Dustin's going to come out, get the takedown and try to get us and hold us on our back. I wanted to see Conor try to work more to his feet. He didn't really start trying to do that towards the end of the round. Like, he kept pulling guard. He kind of was okay with hanging out there. With the Khabib situation, he kept putting his back to the fence and trying to get up. I don't understand why he didn't try to go back to that, because he was a lot harder to hold down in that fight versus Khabib. And I can tell you, being a fan of Dustin and being training with Khabib before, Khabib's not easy to get back up, and so Conor was able to do it a couple times. So I don't understand what his focus was on just hanging out in the guard. Dustin's got good hip pressure, good pressure, but top pressure, but I don't know
if he was just hanging out in the guard. He was doing a great job of sticking his fingers and holding onto a glove and kicking up in Dustin's face.
Hey.
Dustin called it. He did do it, but Conor has done things in the past where he cheats.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, man.
That's it. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying and stuff.
And the thing is,
the way it is. That's for Herb to catch.
When I say that, 50% of the fans in our comments are going to love it, and 50% are going to hate me. So that's where we're at right now.
But it's just a fact of life when and I used to say it to fighters all the time. Look, I understand. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. It's my job to make sure that you can't cheat. That's just the way it is. And it's, I don't blame him. There's times when, as a referee, you're going to see those things, and there's times you're not going to see it. And there's those times it happens, and you try to make things as fair as you can. But it was, I don't blame Conor for it, and I don't look at him like he's a bad guy for it. He's not a bad guy. He's just trying to win a fight.
What else you got for us, Dave?
Last thing I have from the fallout from this fight is just Ronda Rousey's comments. She came out and said, I'm amazed that as soon as you hit the ground, you were already promoting the next fight, Notorious. I wouldn't have had the mind to do that. The other fighters, UFC and media, are lucky to have you. And then Conor just thanked her for her message.
So, John, you disagreed a little bit. I don't know, when we first started this, before we got on air, we were talking about it. What was your thought when you first heard that?
My thought was I read it differently than you read it, honestly. Yeah. I think it's the way that you take it, and to say, what Ronda is saying. I kind of agree after listening to you and what you were saying. How you were looking at it, saying she's looking at it like, man, it's amazing that a guy is doing exactly what we hear certain people. And you brought up Chael saying, man, well, when you're in that cage, your job is to promote, and that the fact that his leg broke, he knew the fight was over. But from that moment, he was already saying, things about, this isn't over, we're going to have another one and stuff. And that's what she's talking about, and telling other fighters, look, these are your moments in time. You need to think about them, and you need to be doing what he's doing. I'll give it to you. I'll agree with that. My problem is some of the things that he did and the way he did it, I don't agree with. And it's not that I don't like the person. I like the person. I just don't like the method sometimes, or the line that he'll cross in getting those messages out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that portion of it. We talked about it on the last show. I said I thought it was very classless in the way he approached it, especially after talking about, Dustin's wife being in the DMs and all the other stuff that was apparently said. There was a video backstage of them, and then something about like I heard there was like a gun sign like this or something like that saying he was going to kill her or whatever. It was like, there was a video going around and someone was trying to send it to me, but I didn't want to open it. You don't know what it is. Yeah. So, but regardless of all that situation, what we talked about with Ronda, when her tweet, I had to agree with her. And that's why I had to put it to you. I'm like, look, the mindset is at every moment you get the mic in front of you, that's your chance to promote yourself. Doing it on Twitter, sure, that's great for all the fans that you know are MMA fans. But the people that are in the arena or the people that just so happen to tune in that night because they're at a friend's house and the fights were on, or like, hey, everyone's coming over and they never really watched the fights before, now you have an opportunity to gain fans. And whether he won fans or people hated him even more, the next time he fights, or if he does fight Dustin again, they're either going to want to see him win and get it back, or they want to see him get knocked out and lose again. And so all he's done now is promoted that next fight. And that's something that Chael constantly talks about when we talk to him. He hates when fighters win a fight. Like, oh yeah, whoever Scott Coker puts in front of me, I'm willing to fight him, or whoever Dana White, asked me to fight. No, man, have an idea of who you want. And that was one thing I never did. I never said, like, except for when it was Gilbert, I was like, yeah, I know I'm next in line. I want that title shot. You know what I mean? I got that part of it all. But when you're coming up, start talking about the fighters you want to fight. Sugar Sean, let me get Cody Garbrandt, or let me get whoever else it was that he wanted to fight. Let me get that fight. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're not in the top 10 or you're just trying to break into the top 10, start calling out those top 10 or those top 15 fighters. You got to do something to make a splash. Be careful what you wish for. Sometimes you're going to get those top 15 and top 10s, and and they're going to put it on you. But in this situation, his leg is broken, both legs. I mean, both bones in his leg are broken, and he's laying there having an argument with Dustin and yapping at the wife. But at the end of it, from the very beginning, Joe's sitting there. I'm thinking to myself, why are you doing the interview right now? But he didn't let the moment escape him. He said, this is not done. We are not done. This is not settled. We are going to fight again. That right there already sets the stage for the millions of people. Yeah, exactly.
That part's okay, but that's not all he said.
No, I got you what you're saying.
And this is where you look and you go, okay, and I've made the mistake. Bellator's made the mistake. The UFC has made the mistake. Sometimes you got to figure, do you want to interview that fighter? Do you want to stick a mic in front of the fighter's face when, let's be honest, right at this moment, all of the adrenaline, it's starting to run out and the pain's starting to come on.
Oh yeah.
And Conor's feeling it. And so are you expecting to get this great interview and stuff? And he's going to say great things. It's like, it's probably not, it's the same thing that happened when, Rumble Johnson wins the fight, but he got hurt in that fight and he got almost finished in that fight. He got hit with a big shot and he was concussed. And I come in and I say, I'm asking him questions about being hurt. And he's like, I didn't get hurt. And you go, uh-oh, I screwed up.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are the situations. Sometimes you got to look and say, it's better not to interview. There are those. Yeah, but times.
Rumble won the fight. That's the problem. You kind of have to interview the guy who won the fight.
I agree, but it's one of those that's tough. In this situation, it's like Joe sitting down there, and I don't blame Joe at all. Joe is told, by, his producer, interview Conor, and they have Conor set up to be interviewed and stuff, and so he's got to go over there and do it. But are you going to get, are you going to get good? Are you going to get bad? Are you going to get a combination? It's a tough one. It's a tough call.
I thought they got a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. I thought they got a little bit of good and a lot of bad.
Yeah,
that's really what it came down to. That's about what
I would say. I thought some of it was good, and there was a whole lot that came out in that was just nasty and not good for the brand.
Well, there's that picture.
Go ahead.
There's the picture of Dustin's wife flipping him off.
Yeah, no, no. She was not flipping him off.
She was telling him
he's number one.
Yeah. I look at that though as like as her cheating on Dustin. Then she's. I'm kidding, guys. Yeah. Some of you guys are literally gonna say oh my god, I can't believe you said that. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, overall, like the beginning portion of this conversation started based off of the tweet by Ronda Rousey. I just want the young fighters to know, or all the fighters that are making their run right now, Never let that moment pass you by, because you will never have a bigger audience than you do when you're in the center of that cage after a fight. Whether you won or lost, it's take that chance to start building your next fight. Even if you've lost and they're ready to talk to you, and you just say, hey, guess what? I got to get back on track. Guess who I want my next victim to be? I want it to be this guy. Okay. Whoever it is, get your, and that just pumps it up.
But let's look at this, and let's be realistic in what we're looking at. Who's Dustin's next fight? Is it Conor? No. It's obviously going to be Charles Oliveira. All right. We'll say that he beats Charles, and I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. For the benefit of this, we're going to say Dustin beats Charles. So we'll say that fight happens in 4 months. And then we'll say that, there's another 5 months and you've got Conor now back. You can't put Conor against him.
No.
You can't. It doesn't make sense. I don't care what, Dana's saying, this fight wasn't finished. That's not the way you want to finish a fight. Well, of course it's not the way you want to see a fight finished. You didn't want to see Anderson Silva break his leg on Chris Weidman's leg. You didn't want to see Chris Weidman break his leg on Uriah Hall. These things happen, though. And right now, Conor's in a position, he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He's lost 2 times in a row to Dustin. You can't put him in a championship fight. It doesn't make any sense at all. And even as, they do a great job of controlling media and what the media says. Even ESPN, look at, they have Stephen A. Thomson. They're like bringing him into the UFC's broadcast.
Stephen A. Smith. Don't do that to me.
I'm sorry.
Don't do that to me.
First off, I apologize to Wonder Boy for what I just said.
You just used my last name too. I'm going to smash you for that.
You got Stephen A. Smith. He's not going to let that go. He would be all over that.
Yeah.
And so that's the fight you can't even make right now. Now, if Dustin loses to Charles, maybe you got a different situation. Maybe you can make that fight again. But it really depends on what happens between Dustin and Charles. Mm-hmm. That's the real question on, can you make that fight happen again?